One. Good evening, everybody. Reed Kastner-Lang, episode 11 already of Dharma Unfiltered, coming in from Ottawa, Wisconsin. We're right here on the Kettle Moraine Golf Course. It's pretty cold up here in Wisconsin. It's like 30 degrees. We got a special guest on Dharma Unfiltered today, Mauricio Pimentel from the Dominican Republic. I guess I first started talking to him. We gotta have been like a month ago now. We talked, but I think it was just over LinkedIn. Like a bunch of everyone's making their all the Miami kids were all making our LinkedIn's and stuff, and I just saw like aspiring entrepreneur. I said, okay, well I like talking to entrepreneurs, and he actually ended up. I mean, he was in the same management project group as my business partner Evan Lamsa. So I guess we spoke kind of briefly about some environmental things that Mauricio's interested. So Mauricio, tell the people who you are and what you do.
Okay, so basically I come from Santiago, which is like a province from the Dominican Republic. I was born here, and then like I studied here and everything, then moved to another province that is named Santo Domingo, which is like the capital. And after that, I just like went to Miami, right? And I just started at Miami right now and like majoring in finance.
Okay. So you've lived up to now, you've lived the first 18 years of your life in the Dominican?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then how did you end up like deciding on Miami?
Well, first of all, is like almost like the same vibe as it is in the Dominican Republic, like weather condition, like let's say per se culture wise, you feel it more in like in Miami, like that similarity,
Yeah,
definitely. And
definitely.
so I didn't like wanted to get that like out of my comfort zone like that much,
Mm-hmm.
like this first 4 years of studying and that.
Yeah. So you were like in your junior, senior year of high school, and you're like, I want to leave the country. Like, do a lot of your friends from like your high school, do they still go to university in the Dominican Republic, or have a lot of them that went to the U.S.?
I mean, 50-50. Like 50% of them stayed here, and the other 50 went to the States. Like 2 of my friends right now are actually in UM from the Dominican Republic.
Okay, yeah. So they kind of had the same idea in mind, kind of wanted to keep the similar vibe.
Yeah.
See, I'm not used to that vibe. For me, it's like the literal complete opposite, from up here. Like it's like here, it's like I mean, I've spoke about this many times, but it's like literally like all white conservative Catholics, and there it's like anything you can possibly imagine. Like it's like a different country there. It's like crazy. I mean, you start talking to people and they're from like
yeah, from everywhere.
Right. Like that's, I mean, and I never, when up here the only Hispanic people are Mexicans, but there it's like you talk to some like I even just like Lyft drivers and stuff like there's over this like South America. I'm like, this is cool. Like, and it's interesting too because like, I mean, it's obvious, but every country has its own very, very unique culture, even if they're like right next to each other.
Yeah.
So tell me about growing up in the Dominican Republic. The only thing I knew about the Dominican Republic growing up is produce a lot of baseball players. I'm a big baseball fan. But tell me about it. Just tell me about, growing up there, what you did, like school, how it was.
Well, first, I was born in Santiago, right? So just let me put a side note on the baseball thing you said. Yeah, the National League here is like very like famous, and it's like, for example, in Santiago there is like one team, right, that it's named like Las Águilas, right, and then there's Licey, right, and they just like always have been on that battle since since I was little, and I often when I was little went to the stadium and saw the games, and it's like one of the best vibes you can think of. Like everyone from every part, no matter who you are, you're gonna be there. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
So baseball in the Dominican is not like over like exaggerated. Like it's pretty intense there.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty
Okay.
intense.
There's people like there's like kids in the street and stuff like playing baseball and stuff.
Yeah,
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, tell me more about it, about just like the country in general.
like what is specifics? You know, there's a lot of things I can
Well,
talk to you about.
I guess to start with like school. Like I don't know how different it is. Like the system.
Okay. So, yeah, the system basically the school I went on Santo Domingo, which is the capital, it had like the same system as American schools, right? Because it was an American school.
Oh,
But before that, I was at a school that was in Santiago, right? And it was named Leonardo da Vinci, and it was like full Spanish. I don't remember much. I like left the school when I was like in third grade or something like that, and then went to the American school. So basically, I was like educated mostly on the American school, which is named St. Michael's School.
so then like in the American school were all the like teachers American? Like was it English speaking?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mostly, most of the classes were in English. If not, it was like the social history of the country, which was sociales, which was practically in Spanish because it was like the history of the country. And then it was Spanish, which was lengua española, which it was in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think which more, well, PE, and that we talked Spanish, and then art and that, but all the other classes were like in English. Most of the classes, social studies, science, mathematics, like all the classes were in English, most of them.
Did you like school?
Yeah, I could say I liked school. I didn't dislike it, you know.
Yeah.
Like from the last years, the last 4 years, the first two were like pretty like okay, you know, and then the last two were like pretty intense.
Okay, yeah, like class and stuff. Got it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And so um I think you're gonna find, I mean, you already know, like just the advantage of like being bilingual, especially in like the Miami area, is like insane. It's almost like you need to speak Spanish there.
Well, basically in Miami, like no exaggeration, I can go anywhere. Well, mainly in some specific areas, like they just talk to you in Spanish. I'm like, I thought I was like in the States, you know, and like suddenly everyone just speaks Spanish to you.
I know. Tell me about it. I know. I got back to the airport at Milwaukee here in Wisconsin. I said, Jesus, I forgot how many white people there were. I didn't even, like, I was so used to just hearing Spanish, like, all around. Like, it was, like, completely, it was, like, culture shock 2.0. It was, like, crazy. It was cool, though. So, yeah, tell me about, like, some of your hobbies and where they kind of are rooted from, like where they started, what you enjoyed doing, I guess, like during school and during kind of the past few years of your life.
Okay, okay. So I'm practically gonna tell you like from the beginning. Like from the beginning, I loved soccer. You know, from when I lived in Santiago before I moved to the capital. I just like played a lot of soccer, a lot of soccer. When I arrived to the capital, I entered like a like a club per se that was like the Barcelona FC, like in the country, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like I was like in love with the sport, right? And then I got like an injury, right? And I had to like not play because it hurt like a lot. It was like at my ankle, right? And
And
then
how
like
old were you then?
I couldn't play, right?
How old
I
were you?
was like 15.
Okay. So
Eh?
up,
Yeah,
up
15. Yeah.
so up until that point, like soccer was like your like longest running interest. Like, were you interested in like did you want to play soccer beyond high school?
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. I wanted to like I was in love with the game. I wanted to play like professionally, you know. I got a couple of opportunities, but then when the thing happened, like I couldn't do much, and I spent like from that point like 3 years with the injury like nonstop, and I went like to like 7 different doctors, and it wasn't like a broken bone or anything like that. I had a extra bone on my ankle, and
What?
that was called like yeah, that was called like the trigonum syndrome. In Spanish, it's like síndrome del hueso trígono. It was named, and it was like a syndrome because I had a little piece of bone between my ankles, right? And because of that, I spent like all those years like suffering, like literally every morning I couldn't like stand up right, you know?
Mhm.
Like through the day, the pain eased a little, but like we struggled to find a doctor that like figured out what I had, and then I had to go to the States to figure out what I had, and then like they inject me some things, and the
But
doctor said, "Oh,
did you go to Florida then? Because that's probably closest, right?
no, I went to New York."
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because we wanted to find we just wanted to get like over that, you know,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
yeah, we just wanted to find like the best based on that.
Yeah.
And then, well, after in that time, in those 3 years, I I had to like replace soccer with something, you know. I didn't know at the time, but I started like producing music and playing the piano, and
This was like your freshman year of high school-ish, about 4 years.
yeah, 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 freshman year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I practically like literally fell in love with music and started like producing and started like getting a lot of interest in music. I'm actually like planning to do a minor for music theory, but I don't know yet. But I'm planning to. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just thinking about it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you just started like making music just out of the blue, or did you have some friends that did it too? Like, how'd you get like introduced to it?
Like alone, literally. I just saw a garage band on the computer and just started playing with it, and I spent like a year like literally like sucking at it, like literally sucking at it. It was like the worst thing you could ever hear. It was like blood to anyone's ears. And then after that, like I self-taught myself and everything, and if you want later, I can show you some of the things I've done.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like, so it's funny you say that because I was just at a buddy's of mine, um, and he had like a full kind of like studio set up, and we were down there, we were in his basement, we were like making beats and we were like rapping and stuff, and that was my first time ever being in front of a microphone. And I'm like, I could see how this could be really fucking fun. So I just texted my mom the link to the microphone that I want for Christmas, because now I got to get the setup down here. But yeah, I mean, this kid that I was at his place, like he's made like 900 songs or something. It's like, and then
Really?
That's like all that he listens to. Also, it's crazy. Yeah. It seems like a lot of fun. Like, what kind of music did you make?
Well, I started with hip hop, right? Like trap and shit.
As most teenage boys would.
Yeah, yeah. And then I moved to like it was trap first, then hip hop was like more enriching in music and less like less electronic, you know.
Yeah.
And I proceeded like lo-fi, and then literally classical piano, and then like I have like that's the latest thing. I have like 15 like pieces that I wrote on like classical songs, and then the other ones I have like 200 beats and other things.
So did you make all the beats yourself, or did you like find them on YouTube and stuff initially?
Like no, I made it from scratch, most of them, but
Oh, okay.
like some of them you know you have like to find like a loop, right? And like that melody you like, or you can like transpose it, or you can like change the tempo of the melody, and I just like played with that, right? And just like implemented on the beats I made.
Okay, cool. So the recent stuff that you've made is more of the like classic like piano.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm diving right now more into jazz. And it's like very musically enriching. I love right now jazz.
So that is that like completely I guess like a side hobby of yours? Like I would consider this podcast like a side hobby of mine that I'm not necessarily um trying to eventually monetize unless it gets to that point. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like are you just doing it solely for fun, or have you actually gained a little bit of traction here and you're going to want to do it like more?
It's like a side hobby of mine, right? I always will consider it as a side hobby, but I mean, uh, my like some of the music I can like put out there, and if it gets noticed and that, then maybe I will get myself more involved into it, you know. But right now, I like it's mostly for fun because you know it's like just doing something what I love, you know.
Yeah. Where are you uploading it?
SoundCloud, and I have like 1/3 of my thing there, like, of my things there, and then most of the things are on my computer that I haven't released.
Yeah. How do you know the process of getting on Spotify and Apple Music?
Yeah. I actually have one song on Spotify, and is a classical one. And it's basically I found like a site, right, that a friend of mine, well, like a contact of mine per se, like recommended to me, and said like, hey, go to this site, and then you can like upload it from there, and you just have like to pay something, like a little per se like amount, and then they take care of uploading it to YouTube, to Spotify, to Apple Music, and like mostly like almost all the platforms.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where did the influence for classical music come? Like growing up, did like your parents like what did you listen to growing up?
No, I literally when I started playing piano, uh, because I first made beats and I didn't know how to play piano. I wanted to play piano like to make more melodies, and then like I got myself more involved into the piano. And then after I got myself more involved into the piano, I started to listen more to classical music and listen more to jazz and all that. And like it started like to find interest in those genres, like are very like enriching.
Yeah, definitely. And then you kind of just stuck with it because like it's what you I guess like enjoy making the most.
Yeah, yeah, but I've made some beats also while making like those classical pieces, because I just want to make what I feel like I want to make.
Yeah. So with that, is there like a general theme that you tend to follow with your music, or is it kind of like literally you sit down and whatever you feel like making in the moment, you just do it?
Yeah, mostly for classical, for the piano pieces. The piano pieces that I've made are like genre is like sad, maybe sad, and then romantic, and then happy. Like those three genres mostly.
Okay, cool. So if there's someone there out there listening that wants to make music, what would be the process that you would suggest, like taking from very beginning, like all you have is like a computer, like all you have is a phone, like you just
And
what
just, I would recommend, like, first of all, even if you like suck, the first thing you have to have is passion and interest and curiosity about the subject. That's basically most of the things. You have to have that before to start. You won't know anything at the beginning,
Mhm.
as you go with time, with literally with putting time into it, just doing it to have fun, like don't have like the mindset of, oh, I wanna be famous and shit.
Yeah, definitely. And that goes for anything. That goes for any
Yeah,
like anything, especially things that are kind of like off the beaten track, like that aren't necessarily go to college, get a job. It's like if you
yeah,
want to start a business, all these kids, I got a few kids come up to me at the either like, I want to start a business. I'm like, okay, what's the business? What's the idea? No, I just want to start a business. I'm like, okay, why do you want to start a business? Well,
yeah.
because entrepreneurship looks cool. Well, because I'm gonna be rich. No, that's not. That's that is not at all how this works at all. Like it's
Like, you first of all have like to have like a purpose. Like, you can say like, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you have to have a goal first, like, first of all, like, for example, what I talked to you the other day, like, I want to make that company, and I don't want to make it to make money, I just want to make it to help. I have a purpose for it, and like, you have to get yourself into like one subject, and if you're interested into that, like, make things around that, and you'll see that with what you're passionate about, you will like put yourself into it, like, not force yourself into it.
Mhm. Oh, definitely, yeah. So it's I went to I toured this like benefit. So basically, they like cover benefits for government contracted agencies like postal service and stuff. But I went to this. My business partner Evan and I toured this like this company in San Antonio, Texas, and the president there kind of gave us a tour and everything. And he said the thing that stuck in my mind the most is just solve problems. Like wherever you want to go in life, like just solve problems. And that's where entrepreneurship stems from. Like don't think like entrepreneurship is a
Yeah,
huge like umbrella. Like think what problem am I going to solve? Whether it's and obviously like whether like the bigger problem you solve, um if you're thinking monetarily wise, if you're thinking money wise, like obviously you're going to get more money. But it goes the same for jobs too. Like if you're solving the problem of plugging numbers into spreadsheets, I mean that shit's gonna be gone in 10 years due to robots anyway. Like that's not. But if you're starting a company and you're solving a problem, you're filling a hole in the market. And that goes for music too. It's filling a hole. There's not every time you create a song, like it's filling a hole. It's filling a hole there's something so amazing to just think about. We are on this earth and we're able to literally change it. We're like, it's so obvious, but like we're able to just like, we're able to change our environment.
yeah,
We're literally able to change the world. But I really couldn't see that for a long time because I hate to say it, but the school system completely failed.
And most people,
I think
yeah,
this. Go
I
ahead.
totally agree. Most people couldn't see. You're like cutting out.
Okay.
Talk if, to see if I can hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I can hear. I can hear.
is it good now?
So I was practically going to say, yeah, yeah, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I was practically going to say that like most of the people hadn't realized what impact we have on the world, right? Like what big impact we have on the world, not only like on like behavior wise of the like of individuals, but on the environment, you know. 'Cause when I talked to you the other day, I told you like most of the damage that has been done to the environment has like not to say mostly, it will be like almost everything that has happened to the environment has come from our actions, you know. And not only like actions from companies, actions from you know, like let's say cars and carbon release into there, but mainly as a whole, as a, all of this, because let's say something that we can't control on the environment that has been doing a lot of damage, which is beef production. I believe I told you this the time we talked. Beef production like takes part like just in Brazil, right? 170 million hectares of land are like dedicated on beef production. I find that like like you know devastating. Like 170 million hectares is like 7 times the size of United Kingdom, and
I find it
that
inefficient. I feel like a lot like imagine that land dedicated toward plants, toward like
yeah, and that's one of the that is the major cause of deforestation like right now. Not only beef production, and then comes like soy, and then after that comes oil from the palms. I believe soy takes up to 130 million hectares of land, and soy is practically to feed the how do you say ganado, to
the
feed,
the cows,
yeah, to feed cows, to feed,
the cattle.
yeah, cattle, yeah.
Yeah.
That's and that's that like it's something we can say like okay we can like control that, but it's like very difficult to control that because I mean right now we're like 7.6 billion people on earth and everyone needs to eat, and like most of us eat meat, you know. It's something that we can control. Like they just say like let's convert half the population to vegan, you know.
Not gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Also, like beef is too good, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, it's probably true. If everyone did convert to vegan, I mean, a lot of these problems would at least partially be solved. Now, obviously, there's still mega emissions being put out in terms of like
yeah,
automotive and other places, but a lot of it does come from like a lot of the meat production and farming.
yeah, and something like very important, like almost all the carbon we have released and almost all the heat that we have released, the oceans are the one that have absorbed it. Like almost all the heat we have released into the atmosphere, the oceans have absorbed it, and that's why you can see like most of the biodiversity of the ocean is like going literally into like a dive to destruction, and not only that, if the heat that the ocean has absorbed from the emissions of carbon we have released that stayed in our atmosphere, like on our air, we wouldn't like, no way it will be able for us to survive that. We'll be dead right now, literally, because of that.
When did you start researching the environmental things?
First, like at the beginning of quarantine, literally, I started seeing like Our Planet, and then after I saw that series, I started reading a book that talked about that is named A Life on Our Planet by David Attenborough, and basically started researching everything about that, and then that's then what I told you I wanted to start the project I wanted to start.
So why are you going to school for finance? Like, it seems like you should be doing something like
Yeah. Basically, I don't know if I told you, but I want finance to be like a tool for me to later like do not fail at the things I want to like create, because for example, the project I'm at right now, I can make it, but if I didn't know like the basics or the most important things about finance per se, maybe I wouldn't be like that financially stabilized, in the project.
Yeah, I think finance is the hard part of any like company. I mean, at least for most people, I think like a lot of when you're talking about like at least in the startup entrepreneurship world, I'd say that finance is where a lot of companies struggle. Like if you watch Shark Tank, if you watch Marcus Lemonis on The Profit, any of them, most of the founders struggle with their numbers. And yeah, I totally agree. Like if you can have a very, very strong understanding of those numbers and I guess all of the financial aspects in general, it's much harder to fail, when you see exactly what numbers you need to hit and you base the company kind of around that, like in terms of the overall company succeeding, like that's most of it. I mean, when it comes to marketing is cake compared to that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, totally.
So what are we going to do about the environment? What are we going to do? Let's see how we're 18 years old. Say we lived to 100. We got about 82 years here. What are we going to do?
I mean, if we're gonna do something, we gotta like quick, Based on what I've been seeing, we're just, if anyone like watching your podcast right now wanna like know more about that, I recommend like strongly to see that book, A Life on Our Planet by David Attenborough. It gives you like his witness on this planet, how he has seen. He's like, I think he's like, how many years is it? I think he's 92. I don't know. He's like very old, right? And he has basically experienced like in first-hand experience. He has seen the things that has been happening to the planet, and he tells that on the book. And not only that, he proceeds and tells like what he thinks will happen in the next few years. And like if we don't do nothing, like it's basically like very sad what is going to happen.
I think the biggest problem, I mean, I don't know, but it seems to me like the US is probably, I mean, you probably know better than I do, but like the United States is probably one of the lagging countries in the world that in terms of, environmental like initiatives and caring about it. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the countries that started to see what was happening and like raise awareness on the topic I believe like the US has a lot of like speaking power per se, and they like incentivize a lot that topic, and yeah, I agree.
I think the problem is that so many people, like you say, like, go read a book, like, go educate yourself. Nobody wants to like take the time to do that. And I'm gonna just speak firsthand. Like, I first of all, I don't read. I know I should, but I just like that's not how I learned through this. I don't learn, but in terms, like, people have things that they just think are more important. And I'm with you. I totally agree that, obviously this is like our plan. This is literally everything. If we don't take care of
Yeah,
this, nothing else even matters. But at the same time, it's like I've been, over the past couple of years, I just think huge. Like, I just think, what are the biggest problems that I want to solve while I'm here on Earth? And I'm thinking, you know, I'm thinking humans. I'm thinking there's people starving right now. There's people homeless on the street here in Milwaukee. Like, it's freezing. I can't even imagine. Like, that's what I want to kind of dedicate toward. And like a lot of people, I guess, like, most people don't even think that way. Most people don't even think they want to solve that big a
yeah,
problem. But I think a lot of people are more focused on things like that and look at the environment as something. I put something out on Facebook. I said, because this was about voting in the election. I said, voting's like recycling. It only really matters, like, maybe the collective group can make a difference, but me not recycling one can isn't relatively going to do anything. Now, I agree, it's important, but collective understanding as a whole is the most important. And there are just so many people that I know, that I'm surrounded with, that just don't give a fuck. And that's the problem. And we need to figure out how to make them give a fuck.
yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know how can we get people to like actually give a fuck. It's very hard to raise that kind of awareness, that that like overall awareness, not only a specifics, individuals,
Well, I,
collective awareness.
I don't want, like, the first thought that comes to my mind is, okay, well, we're in the States, we're a capitalistic society. We're going to follow the money. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm a true believer in capitalism, because I look at it as it's solving problems. Like, money is where the problems exist. And that's what, you're going to run into here. Like more people need to be doing what you're doing, and like looking at this is like, if we want to, when we're talking about entrepreneurship and stuff, it might be a little bit simpler to solve the problem of like few healthy ketchups. But if we really want to, if you really want to make money, forget about everything else. If you really want to be selfish and make money, go find a plastic alter. Like, that is where the money is, because that is the future. Anything environmental is the future. I'm looking at these stocks, anything sustainable foods, anything, anything electric, anything sustainable energy is the future. But
Yeah,
nobody wants to do it. It's just like, I don't know, it's just like boring or something. It's hard. It's hard.
I don't know. Yeah. It's pretty hard.
What is the level of activism in your country? Like, how do a lot of people care?
I mean, recently I've been seeing like some kind of like increasing in awareness on the topic, but like for the most part, there has not been like a major improvement per se. But we're adapting to it, because since we're a a a country, how do you say, a country tercermundista.
Is someone what, like, progressive?
like a third, how do you say that?
Third world.
Yeah,
Developing, yeah.
Yeah, developing country. I mean, we're adapting to that, and we're seeing like like why it has been happening and how to adapt ourselves to it. For example, like sustainable, like electric cars have been coming to the country recently, and there has recently been like more like rechargeable like stops, like where you can like recharge the car. And I hadn't seen that like it like that was in the US. I don't know how long ago, but that was started implementing here very recently.
Okay, so is electric vehicles the solution? At least the way that they're doing it.
No, it is not the solution. It is not the solution. It can help. I wouldn't say I won't say like it doesn't help, but it helps. It
But in terms
helps.
of automobiles, in terms of transportation, like I saw some visual, it was like the joke on all of us. It's like a Tesla being charged, and then the charger's connected to like a big, power plant that's just shooting out emissions. Like, is that real? Like, is that what's actually happening? Like, is it just a
I will, I will have to get like more educated on that topic. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but I mean, it could be the case, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's a huge. No one thing is the solution, kind of like you were saying.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of different things. It's the agriculture, it's the transportation, it's the food that we eat, it's everything.
Yeah. But it's like basically, so David, the author, compares us to a Soviet like town that was made after World War II, that it was named like Pripyat, right? And it was made by the Soviet Union with the sense to creating a utopian like city, right?
That's what the idea for where we are
Yeah.
now. Okay.
Okay, but I'm gonna tell you how is it that he compares it. Like he tells, okay, so that city was created with the concept of creating a utopian city, but to run that city, it had to be located very near to a nuclear plant, right? I'm gonna tell you which is like which nuclear plant I'm talking about. It's a very famous case. So basically, the people knew that the nuclear plant was there and that it could blow up like at any time, and but they chose like to stay in the city because of comfort, because it made like their lives easier. It was like a better quality of life. They had more resources that like other people had, like more commodities per se. And so one day the nuclear plant like blew up, right? And that was Chernobyl. Have you heard of the Chernobyl?
So this is a real case?
Yeah, Chernobyl. And at that time, it like that has been like a ghost town since then. Now we can see life in that city, right? But in that time, that case was considered one of the most catastrophic things that had happened to the environment. Not only because it exploded, but because like those chemicals like were like transported by clouds, and like it literally rained toxic to other parts in Europe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it like affected like a lot the biodiversity from many others like countries, right? And so that was that, right? And so he compares us to Pripyat because the commodity we seek individually has a lot of cost to our environment. You know what I'm saying? Like individually, what we seek and what has been constantly the habit of creating something that will like put us in a place with more commodity has like affected a lot the environment, like the outside environment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he practically compares us to them because we are literally walking to something that we're not seeing, but it's slowly developing behind our eyes, you know, behind our back, which is climate change and how it all has happened. You know what I'm saying?
Because in order to solve problems, I mean, as humans, you know, we're trying to solve problems, big and small, and the fastest.
That problem solving requires more resources.
Right.
For like for example, so like one individual as a human being wants to watch their clothes with like the most fast way possible and the easiest way possible, right? And that is a need, right? A customer need, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, an entrepreneur finds out that that is a need customers want, right? And started to create that and creates this company, right? Which in replacement for commodity for one individual or for that segment of the market requires many resources in order to fill that a commodity to the client. You know what I'm saying? And that has happened in a massive way recently, and that has been affecting a lot the way we live.
Yeah, I think it's even on a very small scale, like us with KP. You know, we were initially in glass bottles, and just recently we've transitioned to plastic because it's just the benefit. As bad as it's the truth of it is that the benefits completely, like at least the short-term benefits of, you know, much lower costs. Transportation is much easier. I don't have to worry about breakage when I ship product. Like there's, and that goes for so many companies and so many aspects. Plastic is just easier. It's just easier.
Perfect example. Yeah.
And so it goes back to my original example. It's like yes, I care about the environment. Yes, of course. But at the same time, it's like it's the weirdest thing. It's like capitalism, which is this, in my opinion, great, you know, set up for how you know the country should work versus, but it shouldn't be versus. It's that people can't wrap their head around. It's because there's no resource. It's because there's no alternative. There's just no other option.
Yeah.
As you know. Fuck. Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. And how much better is glass?
Glass?
Like, is it more recyclable?
Glass is like heat sand, so I don't know.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I don't know, because do you think?
I like glass is better than plastic, but it's expensive.
Right.
Expensive.
Yeah. Well, that's just the problem. Like, so how much time we got? What is this guy saying? Like, how soon is, according to trends, right? Current trends, in what amount of time is what going to happen in the future?
I'm gonna leave that to you and to the ones that want to see it. Like if you're interested in that, you can see like in the if you don't want to read the book, you can just like literally like skip one part and just skip to a chapter that says 230s and then 240s, and that is like 10 pages, and
Okay.
it's really quick.
Yeah. Okay. Um. Yeah. So, should there be more education in like secondary, like in elementary school and high school, on this, because it's probably one
Yeah,
of the leading problems.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. And I believe it has raised some education on the topic. I believe uh, like schools have been implemented more that awareness and have been like not like it maybe it isn't like a class about that, but like it talks about that. And
Yeah. Well, I think like the environment is something that is like, I feel like you almost need to, if you're gonna do that, like you almost need to just like dedicate like your life to
yeah,
that.
full,
A lot
yeah,
of time. And
yeah,
people
full time.
people are like, oh, I'll let someone else do that, I'll let, but because not everybody can like do that, because not everybody is able to put the time into that, or necessarily wants to. Like, people just have other interests like that they want.
Yeah, but yeah, but like yeah,
But we could get more people to dedicate a chunk of their life to it if the problem is brought up in school. Like, I don't know, I just think the whole school system should be completely redone.
yeah, me too, totally. Me
Especially
too.
high school. Like, I feel like, okay, spend, from the time you're 5, like kindergarten, like 5 to like what's our like 8th grade, when you're like right before high school, like, spend all of that time. You got like, what is that, 8 years or something, like 8, 9 years. Like, spend that time teaching kids the basics. Do the
Yeah,
math, do the English, do the science, do everything that the basic human like just needs to know. And then I think we should use high school and literally look at solving problems, like whether and choose a route that you know you could, instead of having your social studies and your science and your biology and your math, like keep those core subject areas, but say, okay, if I'm looking at the social studies department, we're going to talk today, like this class is going to be on homelessness, this class is going to be on racial issues, like literal
yeah,
problems that are happening. Like, it's
yeah. Global
why
current
aren't
issues.
we talking about that? Like, math, like I don't really have a good example for that. But
Yeah,
but science, environments, put the whole fucking thing toward the environment, because that's
yeah,
important.
yeah,
Let's fucking talk about the real life problems. Let's not talk
yeah,
about how we're gonna, like, the fucking dimensions of an isosceles triangle and finding the missing angle. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, let's talk about something that's important. Let's completely redo it. And that's a structural thing. That's, again, these are the biggest fucking issues on the planet. And they're hard. They're so hard because it's like it takes time. Like, I don't want to do that.
yeah, yeah,
It's important, but
yeah,
I don't like, I just, this is it. This is the solution right here. What we're doing right here, like content. This is it, because as I've talked about in past, like, we're the platform's right here for us. YouTube's right here for us. Spotify, Apple, Instagram. It's all right there. And like, if we we just talk about these things. And like, what I find fascinating is I watch a lot of Joe Rogan, and just, he has a guest different. I think he pushes out an episode a day, and it's like, he has a shit ton of millions of people that are watching his videos and listening to his podcast every single day. It's just fascinates me on how he can say
pretty much anything, and like his people will, his followers and his subscribers will pretty much, resonate with it because and
Yeah.
believe it to some extent. Like, I think Joe Rogan is more influential than Joe Biden or Donald Trump. Like, it's like he's actually making grassroots change, like he's actually making change on the ground, whereas these guys are just talking about these big ideas and not actually implementing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm a big believer in like private organizations and getting boots on the ground and just really making a change in communities. Like, you can't,
Yeah.
what kind
Locally.
what kind of pisses me off about politics today, especially, I guess, I mean, the left kind of talks more about, like, the left is supposed to be like the more, I guess you could say, like, caring, more environmental, like more caring side, but like there's so many politicians and even just like Democratic like supporters that they'll talk about all these things, but yet they're not doing anything in their own community. Like,
Yeah.
it's just it's a scary, very, very scary thing that we're in right now with people and society.
Yeah, that's it.
So what was I gonna say? So what's your plan? What are you gonna do here in the next couple of years, and then what do you want to do eventually, like down the road?
Like my plan, well, okay, I plan to graduate, right, on UM. If I don't know, like maybe on the course of graduating, maybe I transfer, but I don't know. And like after that, I'm planning to like work a year, right, and then go on a master's. I'm planning to master or in industrial engineering or mechanical engineering. I'm not sure. I'm deciding between
Okay, so
those
you
two.
want to do a business, like a business undergrad, and then engineering.
Yeah,
Okay, graduate. Okay,
yeah,
because you think that you'll be able to like apply a lot of the engineering stuff to different projects that you want to do.
yeah, totally.
So do you want to ever work? Like, when you say work, like, what do you mean work? Like, you want to work on something?
Well, yeah, like work on a company for a year, like to see what is to be employed, to experience that, and like just like I don't know what the future holds, but maybe I started the project I'm making, and maybe it goes well on that project. I don't know, that's the plan for now.
Yeah.
Maybe it could change, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. It's hard for me to think, that far in advance. Like, I'm more, I think week by week, day by day. Like, what am I doing tomorrow? What do I got to do?
Yeah,
Um,
that's another way.
yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap this up here soon, and then we can, stay on the call if you want for a little bit. And
Yeah.
but Mauricio, thank you very much for being on. I'll get this uploaded here
Thank you.
pretty soon. Just stopping this.